Hello, everybody. Welcome to Memoir Church. It's fabulous to see you all. Yahoo! So excited. This is the last Memoir Church of 2025. It just feels like that's insane. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Suze Allen, and I'm the host and the creator of Memoir Church, the worship of words on Sunday, the first Sunday of every month. Memoir Church was started because I believe in shared stories so much, and I believe that they carry the human spirit forward, and that when we share our stories, we grow compassion, we grow love, we grow understanding, we grow everything. We understand human suffering more. It's a connective tissue, if you will, right? When we tell somebody our story and they go, "Oh, I never thought of that, handling something like that," or "Thank goodness somebody else understands what I've been through," or, "What a good idea. Look at you. You're helping me." So I just love being here on the first Sunday of every month. And I have to say, this is a special Sunday because it's the 25th birthday of my son, who was my firstborn and made me a mother, and Zeke Massimo Allen Bellino. And I'm thrilled. And I'm always glad he was born in the year 2000 because I always know what age he is. So that's very helpful. Today we have a very lovely woman, writer, dancer, healer, just an all-around beautiful person who I met through LinkedIn. Crazy. Stephanie Herman. And we've been doing a little work together on her memoir, which you're going to hear today. So I'm going to bring Stephanie in with me so you can get to meet her. So I'm going to hear, this is Stephanie. There she is, Stephanie Herman.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. And I'm going to add myself in there with you. So if you're new to Memoir Church, we start out with a very lovely little conversation between Stephanie and I. So you get to know her a little bit and you get to know what her work is all about. Stephanie, we've been working together for a year now, right? I think.
Wow, has it been a year?
It has been a whole year. Um, so I really love your story of how you came to write your memoir. So you're a prima ballerina. You had this big career that took you everywhere and had you dance with luminaries and be choreographed by luminaries. And you were just an amazing dancer in your prime, and you're an amazing dancer now. You did a one-woman show, which we'll talk about. I want to know why this kind of genre. Why writing? Why did you decide to write your memoir? What brought you to that?
Well, after the success of my one-woman show, a friend of mine suggested I make a movie, like a full-length movie. And so I hired a scriptwriter to help me. And as I was writing, I realized that the scriptwriter was embellishing my story to make it, I get raped and like really silly stuff that wasn't real, where my best friend's my enemy. And it was like, this is not me. So I decided, in order to make me me, I needed to start writing. And I was not a writer when I started writing, but with the help of everyone around me and Sue's, I'm a better writer or continue to try.
Came out of necessity, but then what has the process been? What is the learning curve been like for you? Has it been
Awful. No.
yeah. No, tell it. I want honesty here because I think too, if that's not your style of creating and expressing yourself, what did you
Okay.
realize about yourself as you came to write it?
As a ballerina and as a kid, I found the best way to express myself was through movement and in dance. And then all of a sudden, when I'm trying to write this, I have to learn how to express myself in words. which
Hmm.
was very difficult. So when I started, I'd say, well, I went into the ballet class and I took a ballet class, and the teacher said I looked good. Well,
Hmm.
so what I had to learn was how to be more immersive and to go deeper into my feelings and put words into not only the depth of my feelings, but the actual visual of what is happening. Not just
Hmm.
I walked into the studio, but what was I wearing and what was I feeling and who was there, and paint a scene, while I also have to open up to my vulnerability of my feelings with words, which I'm not or was not used to doing. I feel
Hmm.
that I'm very good at communicating when I teach and I help others and I heal and explain to them what they need to feel and think. But that was new for me. So thank you, Suze, and everybody else who's helped me along the way.
And it's been wonderful. And when you did your one woman show, tell us a little bit about that. Um,
Oh,
how that came to be.
well, I was about 65 years old, and when I adopted my daughter from China with my husband, I was 51 years old. So by the time my daughter was going off to school, and she's also the year 2000, year of the dragon, when she was going off to school, and I was teaching, and I was also a mother, and I was thinking, okay, she's not going to be around. She's going to Washington. I'm in California. What do I want to do? So I thought, I always wanted to be in film. So I took an acting class, and in the acting class, after a year, they put me on a box, and they said to me, you're in front of the whole class of like 20 students, and everyone's going to pipe in and give you a compliment, and you have to own that compliment. Okay. So I got on the box, and the first compliment is, "You're beautiful." So I'm beautiful. Didn't work. So somebody, "You're beautiful." Like, I'm beautiful. So I try to own it. Then they said, "You're wise." And I'm like, I'm wise. I felt really proud of that one because it took a long time to get there. And then they kept going. And then they said, "You're talented." I could not own I'm talented. And they kept badgering me. "You're talented." I couldn't do it. "I'm talented." "You're talented." "I'm talented." They knew I was not feeling it. And tears started going down my cheeks. And I was thinking, God, if I don't try to really go down in my gut and feel I am talented, I'm going to be here for an hour. And I did. And then I walked away thinking, why can't I feel that I'm talented after being a principal ballerina? And then it dawned on me that, as a ballerina, you're always striving to be better, and you always have to be, jump higher, or everything has to be better, 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 better. And so you never, I don't think, totally accept you're talented, except at moments. Oh, that was a great performance. So I decided at the age of 65, I was going to own my talent. And then I went to see a one-man show with Baryshnikov, and I danced with Baryshnikov, and I had a principal role. And I'm watching, thinking, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if I could do a one-woman show?" And then I'm thinking, "No, I can't do that. Who am I?" And then I'm thinking, "No, wait a minute. I need to own my talent." And so I thought, okay, this is the new me. So I decided I'm going to make produce my one woman show. I went to a theater and I proposed this great idea. There's going to be a one woman show about this mature woman talking about her career, her past. And they said, "Great, we love it. Sign the contract. When can you do it? In a year or 3 months?" And I'm thinking, if I do a year, I'll never work on it till 3 months anyway. So I said 3 months. And I walked away and I like, wow, isn't this great? I did it. And then I thought, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I haven't been in shape for 30 years. I haven't performed. I didn't have a script. All I had was an idea. So at that point, a friend of mine who teaches script writing helped me co-write my script. And then I had to choreograph it. And then I had to get in shape to do this. And 3 months later, I'm in the dressing room, and the director of the theater comes in and says, "Just want to let you know, congratulations, it's a sold out theater." And I did the performance, and it was standing ovation, and it was great.
That's amazing. And when did, yeah, beautiful. And then had you already started your memoir then, or did it come after?
No, it was after because it was such a huge success. And then I sent it out to film festivals, and then I got 8 film festival awards for it. And
Mm,
so it was after that when the new script writer started writing it when it wasn't me. I felt
mm-hmm,
I needed to own it.
mm.
I needed to own
Well,
my talent and write it.
right. Yeah. Well, it's just it's a beautiful story, and I love that. And you also have a another life work that you do that came out of being a dancer. It came out of your injuries, correct? Do you want to talk a little bit about how that came to be?
So, ballerinas are like football players. You eventually sometimes get injured. And, I had one injury and it took me a while to get back into shape. And I had the help of the first disciple of Joseph Pilates, whose name was Carola Trier. And she got me back in shape better than I was before. And
Mm,
then I had this fabulous career. And then later on, I get injured again. But this time it was so horrendous that it took 3 years to cure. And I took it upon myself to try to learn rehabilitation and kinesiology and anatomy of the body. And through that education, self education, I cured myself. And at that
mm,
point, I vowed to help others. I'm a rehab specialist right now, and I feel when I do help others, I look at the body in an organic way based on my ballet career and Pilates, and also research on rehab and understanding not only the muscles, but how the skeleton moves and
mm,
functionally and how it should. And I educate my clients on that. And so I think that's what makes me different as a rehab specialist, and how my background through injury and ballet and Pilates, and also gyrotonics expansion system, if anybody knows about that, has helped me help others,
hmm.
which is wonderful for me and the people I
And
heal.
others, I'm sure. Well, I loved it when I first met Stephanie. We were just having our first Zoom meeting together, and she said, "And I help. I'm a healer. Do you have anything we can work together? But I also you can come over to where I am, and I can help you with anything." So I just love that openness and that generosity of spirit. Well, I'm thrilled. I know that you've been working on this memoir for a while, and I know, like I know with everyone that I work with on their memoirs, that you get to that point where you're like, how long do I have to work on this before I can just birth this out into the world? And that tenacity, you're using your tenacity for being a ballerina with your writing as well, and it's really showing. So I am going to take myself off the screen, and I am going to let you read your beautiful stories to us. Okay? All right.
Okie dokie.
Let me uh,
Ah,
let me get out of
oh,
here. Here. Okay.
everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay. I am 7.5, still roller skate everywhere from the front door down to the long foyer to my bedroom, and always at Riverside Drive Park. I love playing board games and sometimes can finagle my siblings to play with me. Dicky does not mind playing Twister because we are both limber. Susan allows me to talk her into playing Clue if I wash her stockings first. And Patty always likes a challenge with Jax. Mom works during the day on weekends till she fills our home with vibrant sounds on her baby grand Steinway, playing pieces by Chopin, Beethoven, Rachmaninoff. I can usually tell by her touch on the keys what mood she's in, whether it is sad, happy, or angry. Today is Sunday. I finished all my homework and now it's playtime. I look over to Patty, my closest culprit, on the bed next to me, reading from her social studies book. Patty, want to play jacks with me now? I ask. Patty quickly shuts her book, happy that I interrupted her. Okay, I'll finish my homework later. Come on, let's do it, she says. Patty and I are neck and neck, quickly throwing the ball and picking up as many jacks as we can when I hear the faint melody through our bedroom door of Mom playing the piano. The music is coming from the living room, which seems like a football field away. Mom's touch on the piano keys creates an enchanting sound, calling me away from our game. I am torn between winning in jacks or following the music. I finish up my turn, then tell Patty, I'll be right back. Where are you going? She asks as I stand up. I want to hear Mom play, I reply. I follow the music to the entryway of the black and gold speckled linoleum floor of our 40-foot foyer and stare at Mom sitting upright with hair just colored and styled by her regular hairdresser, face unlined and looking regal at the piano. Seeing a smile on her face made me feel calm. Her expressive playing fills me in a way that my 7-year-old self cannot explain in words. I have to know the name of this beautiful piece. I slink quietly behind Mom as her eyes follow me without missing a beat. I lean over to see Moonlight Sonata typed on the sheet music. Her emotions flowing through each note brings the music to life for me. My body begins to take over through movement in slow motion. My right arm lifts, but not high enough to reach our 12-foot ceiling. My thin, long legs slide into a split that my sister Susan taught me, showing off my flexibility. When Mom hits the high notes, I stumble out of the split to stand tall, then shrink lower with the deeper sounds. With a reprise in the music, I feel the urge to twirl in my socks, sometimes losing my balance and falling flat on my bum. The soft sounds of Moonlight Sonata begin to change into quick and vibrant happy notes. Mom's soft composure shifts from melancholy to joyful and playful. Her nimble fingers skip from one side of the piano to the other, as if her two hands are racing each other. I run and slide to the music all the way down the length of our golden white fleur-de-lis wallpapered foyer. I leap, watching myself in the ornate gold frame mirror above our narrow marble table. My body, exhilarated by so many notes coming at me all at once, makes me jump till I fall, giggling all the way down. While down, I begin spinning on my rear, hugging my knees into my chest, reveling in the turns. I roll over on my stomach, arching my back to grab hold of my toes, making me feel like a swan. I unravel out of the swan and face the front door at the end of the foyer when Daddy enters wearing his huge smile. The role of our household is whoever walks in the front door gets greeted by his hug. I slide my 4'3" bundle of energy into Daddy's 6-foot stance. I was lucky to inherit Daddy's thin body and long legs, and glad I didn't get his big nose and large Adam's apple. He reaches out his long arms, enveloping me in his loving hug. Why are you out of breath? He asks. I'll show you, I reply. Glad to have an audience, I become more animated as I grab my right leg with my hands, contorting my body into a pretzel, then unwind into a twirl. I dance down the long foyer without a care. I appreciate Daddy's love and his applause when I slide into a split for my grand finale. You are a dancer, he proudly announces. Oh my gosh, thanks, Daddy, I respond, beaming from his approval and compliment. I watch Daddy walk down the foyer to the opening arch of her living room that houses the baby grand he bought Mom when they got married. He stands still for a moment, gazing affectionately at Mom in her glory. She looks up, acknowledging Daddy's love while still playing. I always feel happy seeing Mom and Daddy loving each other instead of fighting. Susan likes to tell me stories about Mom quitting as a performer at the age of 19, and I always wondered why she would quit something she was so good at. But on this Sunday afternoon, Daddy and I together are lucky to be her private audience. I stand up, unsure of what other dance moves to make up, so I begin playing an imaginary game of hopscotch while Daddy leaves with his large strides heading towards their bedroom. The music slows down as I hop on one foot towards the baby grand, then stop, with elbows leaning on the front edge of the piano. I watch Mom coming to the end of her concert. Every now and then, with notes memorized, she looks up at me, smiles in our new unspoken love of music, dance, and emotions until she hits the very last chord. With a look of peace on her face, she slowly gets up, closes the magic piano, turning it back into furniture, and faces me. Steffi, gather all your white clothes. I'm doing a load of wash. So I am going to continue excerpts from chapter 2 now. I made it through elementary school, and this is my first week of junior high. I had been happily dancing in the foyer to Mom's piano playing and graduated from Moonlight Sonata to Fur Leaves by Beethoven, plus my favorite Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini. The year is 1962, following President John F. Kennedy's order that physical fitness be part of the public school curriculum. So here I am today preparing for my first gym class. In the locker room, I change out of my school clothes, a white frilled blouse, short navy pleated skirt, white ankle socks, black loafers, and a black velvet headband, and replace them with the required green gym shorts, a t-shirt, sneakers, and a ponytail. I then joined 100 hormonal girls of all sizes, and we pushed through the heavy doors and lined up to begin jumping jacks, followed by abdominal crunches. I continue my ab crunches, self-consciously aware that Mrs. Roberts, our physical ed teacher, is silently staring at me. After 20 nonstop crunches, she finally speaks. Stephanie, would you like to join our after-school ballet group? Baffled and winded, I glance up at this light-skinned African-American older woman face covered with freckles and respond politely, okay, as I imagine she would want, without even considering what I wanted. I have no idea why Mrs. Roberts asked me. I just knew it was fun dancing to Mom's music in the foyer. Come join us here at 3:30 today, she informs me. Okay, blurts out of my mouth again, being the good girl I was taught to be. Back in the locker room, I transform back into my Vogue-inspired schoolgirl look. The day is a blur, except for the times my mind wanders to Mrs. Roberts' invitation. The thought of being part of a new dance group seems like such a sudden unknown to me. Who's in the group? How advanced are they? Will they be okay that I never took a ballet class before? Will they like me? What was it that Mrs. Roberts saw that made her ask me? Finally, the last bell of the day rings. I gather up all my books, then awkwardly slide my long limbs out of the too small school desk I'm wedged into and wave goodbye to my new friend Debbie. I still feel anxious about this new adventure as I follow the storm of adolescence down the cement stairs. I take a left while everyone exits the building and walk alone down the long black and white square tiled linoleum floor. I push through the heavy gym doors and my worries turn into curiosity when I see a room full of young dancers stretching on the floor. On the girls' feet are pink ballet slippers instead of gym sneakers, and no more green shorts and t-shirts, just varied colored leotards and pink tights. The colored bows around their high buns are like ornaments. Erica catches my eye, a long-limbed blonde with hair pulled back in a French twist, a short pink chiffon skirt wrapped around her waist, white leotard, pink tights, and pink ballet slippers with ribbons hugging her ankles. She stands concentrating with both her feet turned out and facing opposite directions. Within a moment, she quickly twirls like a top on half of her right foot, her chiffon skirt flaring out in slow motion, resembling a ballerina in a music box. The only time I had ever experienced a dance performance was the Russian Moiseyev Dance Company at Madison Square Garden. The men with their long black robes weren't walking. They were gliding along the stage as if on roller skates. I gasped along with the rest of the audience when they jumped high over the rows of female dancers dressed in traditional Russian costumes and landed softly on their knees. Now, watching Erica, a girl my age, twirling over and over, determined to perfect her turns, captivates me. I stare as she adds more steps to her dance and immediately fall in love with how she conquers those unusual positions with fluidity. It's like a spark flares inside of my gut telling me, this is what I should be doing. Without hesitation, I walk over to her. Where did you learn how to do that? I ask without even stopping to be shy. I just need to know. She smiles and quickly says, School of American Ballet. Wow, how long have you been going there? Was it difficult to learn? I continue anxiously asking Erica questions till Mrs. Roberts claps her hands for silence and speaks gently to the other dancers and me. Everyone, this is Stephanie. The whole group welcomes me like a choir. Hello! They offer with smiles on their faces. I tilt my head in response, feeling part of them as they accepted me into their private club. Why don't you sit over there, Stephanie, and see what it is we do? I try to be inconspicuous as I sit on the bench watching with curiosity as 12 girls form two perfect lines, standing motionless in a graceful dance pose, eager to start dancing. Mrs. Roberts presses the on button on the cassette player, and Chopin's Les Sylphides begins to play. The music transports me back home into our long foyer where Mom is playing piano while I improvise. The 12 girls dance identical choreographies, not just made up movements, a jump, a twirl, a lyrical pose, and I want more. I can't wait to run home and ask Mom to sign me up for the School of American Ballet. I didn't even second guess myself, which is not normal for me. Mom, the general in our home, often gets upset and voices her anger without warning, which always keeps me on guard, trying to be good and a step ahead of what could agitate her. But today, I feel a certainness in my gut. This is what I want, and I have no qualms about asking her. The second I get home, I find Mom in the kitchen making her fabulous chicken soup. I watch her cut the onion in half, then put it into the large simmering pot. I blurt out, Mom, today my gym teacher asked me to join the after-school ballet group. I say this with conviction, which is unusual for me. In our home today, my courage has no bounds. Mom, now cutting the carrots, replies, That's great, dear. Pass me the salt. I pass her the salt and wonder how to broach ballet classes when I suddenly speak out. I was amazed at this girl in the after school ballet group who danced really well. I asked her where she learned to dance, and she told me she goes to School American Ballet. Can I go there too? Putting the whole chicken into the boiling pot, Mom points to the kitchen table and says, Hand me the lid over there. When I hand her the lid, she covers the soup, turns the gas stove lower, then responds, What was the name of that school again? School American Ballet, I say with excitement, imagining this might happen. Let me check it out, she says. I run over to give her a giant hug, then follow her into Mommy and Daddy's bedroom. Mom sits on the edge of her side of their queen-size bed and picks up the phone. I watch in disbelief as she dials 411. Hello? Can I have the phone number for School American Ballet, please? I can't contain my enthusiasm as she then dials up the school. Yes, hi, I'm calling about your classes for beginners. I watch uncertain of what they are saying to her as she responds, Okay, yes, when? What do we need? What color leotard do you suggest we buy? Did you say blue? Got it. Okay. What's your address? Sign my daughter up for the audition, please. Her name is Stephanie Herman. See you next week. Thank you. She hangs up. You have to audition next week, but first we need to buy you some dance clothes. Let's go shopping tomorrow. I jump up and down, then run over to give her another big hug. Mom was what you call chutzpah. Mom has what you call chutzpah, a Yiddish term for audacity. A woman who knows how to get whatever she wants. Luckily for me, she approves of my learning self-discipline through School American Ballet. I always hate going to sleep, and tonight is not any different. I lay awake fantasizing myself twirling like Erica and very excited to be going to the School of American Ballet. Maybe.
And the plot
So,
thickens.
so a lot has happened till we go to the next chapter, not the next chapter, but chapter later on in my life and my career and after injuries. And yes, I did get into School of Ballet, and School of American Ballet was part of George Balanchine, New York City Ballet. And not to ruin the story, but instead of getting into his company, I got into his second company, the Zurich Ballet Company, which Pat Neary was the director, and he was the artistic director. And now I will read on. For the first day of rehearsal for Rudolf Nureyev's Manfred, I was feeling pretty. I wore my new black V-neck long sleeve leotard layered fashionably with a sheer black top. On my waist, I wrapped a black chiffon ballet skirt, shorter in front and longer in back, like a curtain showing off my long legs in pink tights and matching leg warmers. I completed the look with my hair pulled back into a Suzanne Farrell inspired French twist. Filled with anticipation and excitement, I arrived at the studio 15 minutes early. I began on the floor, stretching out my long limbs, then warming up at the bar with pliés and tendus. Feeling my body more awake, I returned to the floor and began the ritual of taping my toes with beige adhesive tape in order to avoid getting any more blisters. I then carefully wedged my feet into my toe shoes and stood up, facing the bar to do échappés to warm up my feet and break in my toe shoes. So, how was lunch? Pat asked Nureyev as they both strolled in. Very good. I have a steak, Rudy responds. Pat sits at the front wooden chair as Nureyev stands in the middle of the room. She watches as Nureyev, calm like a lion after its kill, dramatically demonstrates my first walk-on entrance. I mimic his movements. Suddenly, he said to Pat, in his Russian accent, wait, I need to change it to make it different from the Paris Opera version. I have an idea. I will create new choreography for her. I want to see a double piqué turn, then finish into a penché, he said to me. A penché requires lifting your legs straight up in the air, almost like an upside down split. Doing a penché after turning twice quickly on the very tip of your toe shoes is difficult. Because stopping after turning twice is like putting on the brakes in a car while you're traveling 30 miles an hour, then hitting the brakes by placing your turning foot from on point to flat on the ground while kicking your free leg up towards the sky within seconds, all without turning again. That's impossible, Pat said. She won't be able to do that. She will do it. You try. His tone was so calm and self-assured that I began to execute this feat. Without a second thought, I pointed my right foot forward with my right arm ready for takeoff, sailing smoothly into a swift double turn on point, landing perfectly on a dime with my other leg simultaneously jutting up into a penché. Voila! It is perfect. A miracle, Nureyev smirked at Pat. See? I told you she would do it. I think even Pat and I were both surprised. Let's keep it, he said to me. In previous rehearsals, I had seen Nureyev be quite brusque with certain dancers, but he never used that manner with me. I appreciated that he respected me and valued the Balanchine style and technique that I demonstrated from my years of schooling at School American Ballet. There was something about Nureyev that seemed to quiet my fears. I didn't feel anxious about failing with him. In fact, he gave me the courage to fail in order to succeed. I could see that Nureyev was the same with himself, daring even if it meant he might fail. Yes, I wanted him to like me, and I did want to impress him, but not to the point of losing my own power. I was learning and dancing his choreography not to please him, but to meet my own high standards. I wasn't judging myself. Once again, I felt my worries change into curiosity. In dance and in life, there's a difference between reacting and responding to criticisms or corrections. A reaction is typically quick, without much thought, and often with some anxiety to please. A response is thought out and calm, then executed. As dancers, we hear the command, higher leg, and like a marionette, we instantly react and move our leg higher. Responding means taking the time to think about the command and choosing how to own the power to translate it into actually raising your leg higher within the choreography. As a good dance student, I always felt the urge to please and react instantly in order to get approval. Therefore, I was usually in a nervous, quick to please reaction mode. But with Nureyev, I felt comfortable responding, taking the time to think things through. I didn't feel nervous when he directed me. 2 days before opening night of Manfred, all of our costumes were delivered from the Paris Opera. Our measurements had been sent to them a few weeks earlier, so the costume department could resize each costume to fit the Zurich dancers. About 20 of us were lounging about the studio when the Paris entourage stormed in like high-end fashion designers, carrying colorful, frilly, enormous costumes of silk and tulle. Leading the parade was the legendary master costume designer, Nicholas Georgiadis, his head high in the air and conveying a demeanor of egotism. He was aloof and looked more like a banker than a costume designer to me. Georgiadis was trained as an architect and painter, but had changed his career to costume and stage designer and won prestigious awards. He found fame making costumes for the well-known ballet company Ballet Sadler's Wells and collaborating with the Royal Ballet famed choreographer Kenneth Macmillan. Georgiadis would become known as one of the best stage designers of the century. When my name was called, I walked over to face a huge mother costume that took 2 assistants to hold. Georgiadis's design looked more like a Louis XIV costume that would also need those 2 assistants to put on me. The top of the matronly black dress had a bunch of white material popping out like a penguin, puffed out chest. The skirt was thick with multiple layers of fabric in order to make the costume stand out 2 feet in diameter. The skirt had a long train that would probably require 2 dancers trailing behind me just to carry it. As I took the costume into my arms, the sheer weight of it made me shrink. I knew the weight would negatively affect my dancing. How was I going to do my double pirouette into penché wearing this monstrous costume? I lugged the dress slowly to the dressing room and tried it on. The bodice was a double D. The weight of the skirt came mostly from its 10 layers of fabric, and the train must have been at least 4 feet long. When I finally zipped the whole thing up, I felt 10 pounds heavier and depressed. How could I dance wearing this contraption? Demoralized, dragging the train behind me, I maneuvered my way back into the studio. I stood patiently next to Rudy, who was talking to Georgiadis. When Rudy turned and looked and took a moment deep into my eyes at my sad face, I felt as if he was hearing my thoughts. He stared up and down at me and at my costume. "Bring me scissors," he says. One of the assistants ran to Nureyev and handed him his scissors. Georgiadis turned, staring at Nureyev in disbelief. He moved his glasses from the top of his head, slipped them onto his nose to get a better look at what possibly could happen to his creation. Lift up the top layer of the skirt, Rudy said, gesturing at the bottom of my enormous skirt. I lifted the top layer and held it while Rudy proceeded to cut off the 9 layers of fabric beneath it, layer by layer. Georgiadis began to scream, "Stop, stop, stop! What are you doing to my design?" Rudy continued, "Stop, you are ruining my masterpiece." Georgiadis was pulling out whatever little hair he had left on his head. "Stop, what are you doing?" Rudy finished the last cut as the 9th layer fell to the ground. The only layer left was the top, which I was still holding in my hands. With his head tilted, chin a bit higher to the right, and one eyebrow raised, Rudy turned to Georgiadis and proclaimed, "She must has to dance." Rudy cut my train to ankle less so nothing trailed behind me. When he finished, relief, gratitude, and power flooded my whole sense of being. Dress rehearsal arrived. I added my white powder in my hair to look older. The top part of my costume was still matronly with its white fabric blossoming out from my breasts. I think Georgiadis wanted the mother to appear matronly with portly dimensions, but the costume had way too much material for the audience to see and appreciate the subtle movements of my ribs moving in opposition with my hips. Rudy was on stage wearing his brown beret, talking with Andre, our conductor, when I arrived in my costume. As I walked on stage, he squinted at my bosom and walked over to me. "You look like Penguin. Get me needle and thread," he said. I ran to the dressing room I shared with Elise Flagg, a former soloist from New York City Ballet, and asked if she had a needle and thread. She quickly found both, and I ran back and handed the threaded needle to Rudy. He took the white fabric popping from my chest and proceeded to sew pleated darts in the material. The top of my costume became tailored to my body. "Much better," he said. There you have it, guys.
Yay, beautiful. Just so lovely, Stephanie.
And I have a picture here
Oh,
of him sewing the pleats in my bodice. Andre, the conductor, in the background.
Ah,
beautiful.
beautiful. I love this.